Notice, and this is the typical copyright. We continue with Mathematics Syllabus 2018 for CSEC. Note that as of January 2026, this syllabus has not been revised, but there are plans to change the structure of the exam from 2028 and going forward, with a few pilot projects now being conducted in a few Caribbean countries. The syllabus itself remains unchanged. The two main planned changes to the CSEC level math exam: one, split the exam into two parts, and then two, there will no longer be any alternative sections. All sections will be tested with compulsory questions. Schedule of videos: as you are aware by now, sections 1, 2, and 3, all 51 of these videos have been published in their entirety on YouTube. Please make good use of them. From sections 4, 5, and 6, a few of these videos have been published on YouTube in their entirety. The others are only partially published on YouTube. We are now at section 7, relations, functions, and graphs. This is the 24th of 26 videos. And of course, after that, we have section 8, geometry and trigonometry, and then section 9, vectors and matrices. And hopefully by April, May 2026, this syllabus should be completed. Disclaimer down here: this schedule is just a projection, and it is not to be interpreted as a contract with anybody. I am emphasizing section 1, number theory and computation. I have divided this section into 33 videos, and they are all available on YouTube in their entirety, as I just pointed out not so long ago. But more so, this section forms the foundation on which the rest of the syllabus is based. So you need to make sure you know it very well. Another reminder: you need to know the times tables from 2 to 12, especially since calculators are not allowed in paper 1. Going back to section 1, some of these videos are even applicable in primary schools for students who could use them on their own, or teachers who may want to use these videos in the inverted classroom, and especially for parents who may think they don't know math enough to help their children, even in primary school. Bear in mind that this is the first section of the CSEC syllabus. For example, if you look at this blue box over here, if I expand it, you will see video 6 says add, subtract, multiply, and divide whole numbers. And then video 7, add and subtract, multiply, and divide decimals. Video 8, add and subtract fractions. And then video 9, multiply and divide fractions. And these are all part of this CSEC syllabus for mathematics. So parents, teachers, students can use this effectively, at least section 1. From section 2, consumer arithmetic, all 12 of these videos have been published on YouTube in their entirety. Section 3, sets, all 6 of these videos have been published on YouTube in their entirety. Section 4, measurement, these indicated in yellow here have been published on YouTube in their entirety. The others are only partially published on YouTube. If you want to gain full access to these videos that are only partially published on YouTube, please see directions in the description below. And that also applies for section 5, statistics. We have some videos that are published in their entirety on YouTube, and then there are others that are only partially published on YouTube. Again, please see directions in the description below for full access to these videos that are only partially published on YouTube. Algebra section 6. These 7 videos have been published in their entirety on YouTube, especially since many learners find difficulty with algebra. Please make good use of those. And of course, the others are partially published. And even though they are partially published, they are based on the objectives. So some aspect of the objectives have been dealt with in these partially published videos. Please see directions in the description below for full access to these videos that are only partially published on YouTube. As I said, we are now at section 7, relations, functions, and the graphs. This section consists of 26 videos. Before we go on, recall in the introductory video, I said that you will need a good math textbook or maybe a set of 2 to get more practice questions. CSEC recommends these. On the right, you see here. From those, I would recommend these last 2 down here, especially since they form a very good 2-volume set of math textbooks that is quite adequate for the current and the future proposed changes in the structure of CSEC math exam. This is a picture of volume 1, Mathematics, a complete course with CSEC questions by Raymond Tulsi. And this is a picture of volume 2. Please note this disclaimer down here. I get no financial or other benefits from the sale of these books. Also, as of late 2024, I think, a website with AI interactivity has been made available, free of cost, that deals with past CSEC math questions only from paper 2. It is extremely important that you become familiar with how CSEC sets its questions for paper 2 and what will be considered good or correct answers to such questions. So if you have past papers, you can navigate this website by years or even by topics. This is the URL for that website. On the next slide, I will show you what the homepage for that website looks like, which is this. Note you would have to register first, and of course, subsequent to that, sign in. But remember, I said it is free. This is the URL again up there. This URL will be in the description below, so you can easily click on it and be redirected to this website. Just another reminder that this formula sheet that you see on the left here, this complete formula sheet for CSEC math examinations will be provided during the examination. This formula sheet is also included in the syllabus, but just in case you don't have the syllabus or a full copy of the syllabus, there will be a link in the description below from where this formula sheet can be downloaded. This is a top part of that formula sheet, so you could see it a little closer. I am going to state the obvious here. You do not need to memorize these formulae on this formula sheet, as this formula sheet will be provided during the examination. And this is the below part of that same formula sheet. Please note, while you do not need to memorize these formulae, you do need to know when and how to use them. As I said, we are now at section 7. I am going to go through quickly with these next few slides. All of those objectives have been completed. All of these objectives have been completed. All of those objectives up to 13 have been completed. All of these objectives up to 17 have been completed. All of these objectives up to 20 have been completed. All of these up to 22 have been completed. So now we are at the last page of the list of objectives for section 7. And furthermore, we have completed objective 23 in the last slide. So now we are at objective 24, just so you will know where we are and how many more objectives we have to do to complete this section. So section 7, as I just said, we have finished objective 23, which was video 23. From those completed videos from this section, these have been published in their entirety as indicated in yellow here. Well, even that one, this, and this. The others are only partially published on YouTube. By now you know, check the description in the video below if you need to gain full access to these videos that are only partially published on YouTube. I am at objective 24 right now, which would be video 24. When that is finished, it will be partially published. And then, of course, we will have 2 more videos, 2 more objectives to do. This is an overview of how the remaining videos from this section will be published. And at the same time, it repeats what you just saw in the last slide, those that have already been published on YouTube in their entirety. So after I finish this one, 24 here, which we are doing now, which will be partially published, the next one, 25, will be partially published, and the last one, 26, will be published in its entirety. And that would bring us to the end of section 7. So we are here. And it says, draw graphs of nonlinear functions, and you are told what nonlinear functions to use. Y is equal to ax to the nth power, where n could be -1, -2, +3, and a is a constant. And it also says, include in this objective distance time and speed time graphs. So that is what we are doing for this objective. Note objective 7.25, which is this one down here, which says interpret graphs of functions, and it specifically lists distance time graph and speed time graphs. So yes, in this objective 24, we will draw the graphs, but in the next objective, we will interpret them. By now, the matter of drawing graphs of nonlinear functions should be easy, especially if you are given the domain, which is the x-axis values. So what we will do, first of all, we will set up a table with 2 columns. The domain, which is the given or estimated x-axis values, generally from -5 to 5, unless stated otherwise. I know you may hear that as 5 to -5. Then after you do that, you will complete the second column with the range values, which would be the y-axis values, using the given function, like what you see over here. So if we were going to draw that graph, this will be our domain values, which we are given, and this will be our range values. After you do that, you will determine which quadrants are needed, or maybe not. You will draw the axes, label them, and scale them according to the information in this table. And then finally, you would plot the points and draw the graph. By now, you know this as standard procedure. So the first one we are looking at here is y is equal to 2x to the -1 power. So this is actually the table that we want to plot. Now notice we have a problem here. I'm using Microsoft Excel, and notice what it says here, which means that it is undefinable. It doesn't exist. 0, 0. Well, we don't have 0, 0, because this here does not mean 0. It means that the image when x is 0 is non-existent. Now, if we plot this, as I will do using the computer program, you'll get something like this, but notice this point here is included, 0, 0. But we said 0, 0 is not a point. Let's zoom in on this in the next slide, and you get this. As I said, you have a point here. which is not to be plotted. It does not count. It does not exist. When the domain is 0, the image of that 0 does not exist. So we need to take out that from there. We need to take that from there. So 0, 0 is not a valid point. Now, if you were to join all these points, you get an incorrect graph as shown in the next slide. Remember, if we keep this point here, you get a graph that looks like this. But recall what I said. This is not a valid point. So that is a wrong graph. It is incorrect, as 0, 0 is not a valid point. So please don't make that mistake. Let's remove 0, 0 and now draw the curve. Remember, what you see may look like two curves or two graphs, but it's really one. If you find this video useful and interesting, please like and share. That is, like and share. You may also consider subscribing to this channel. So as I said, we will remove this 0, 0 point and now plot the graph. And this is what it looks like. Now, don't be confused by what you see there. That is one graph, which is y is equal to 2x to the negative 1 power. So this is the correct graph. Now here, the graph occupies the first and the third quadrants only. Remember, this point over here is the first quadrant. This one on the left here is the second quadrant. This one down below here is the third quadrant. So when I talk about quadrants, you should understand what I'm talking about. And this one over here is the fourth quadrant. So right now, when you have this format, the graph is occupying only the first and the third quadrant. But of course, you have to show the second and the fourth, because without that, those two quadrants wouldn't exist. Now, I will fine-tune this in the next few slides so you can understand it better. We had -1 and then we went to 1. Now, I am putting in some extra points in between here so we could see clearly what the graph looks like, irrespective of what is on that side of the -1 or this side of the +1. So you can see it clearer. I am including some fine points here between -1 and +1. And of course, we are leaving out 0. And the graph now looks like this. So you could see it a little better. Now remember, this is one graph, not two graphs on the same axis. You could see the graph is approaching the x-axis, but it's not really touching it there and there. It will never touch it. And also on this side, it is approaching the y-axis there and there. And don't be deceived by the looks here. It is actually never touching it. Recall those lines, x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0, are called asymptotes. So now this is our correct graph. So this is the correct graph that we have here for y is equal to 2x to the -1. Now let's try y is equal to 4x to the -1.